The following is a dramatic reenactment of actual events. You're not gonna believe it.
What?
Honey, guess what? I have had so many people tell me either in the comments or on Instagram, I was gonna name my channel here for the happy endings. Apparently, happy endings is scandalous. I had no idea. And can you imagine what kind of traffic that would bring to my channel?
Oh yeah, I know.
Wait a minute, you knew?
Well, I figured it was a romance channel, so.
What? What do you think my channel's about? Hi, my name's Bea. Welcome to my channel. Still, Mama Needs to Read Romance. Welcome to my April wrap-up, finally. And yes, that dramatic reenactment that you just saw is true. Based on your votes, you are very interested in me keeping my name. I love the ideas, though, that you had. Mama Needs Happy Endings or Bea Reads. These are all excellent, and I definitely want to incorporate them into my endings, because how perfect for happy endings at the end of my video. You guys are so brilliant. Someday, in my wildest dreams, I would love to have channel memberships, and it would be so fun to have different levels of memberships. There's just so many fun ways to take it. If you could think of any more fun names for channel member levels, that would be so fun. Let me know. Because that would be the dream someday when I have more time. But this is supposed to be an April wrap up. So let's go ahead and talk about what I got up to in April. I read 7 contemporary romances, 5 historical romances, 1 fantasy romance, 1 paranormal romance, 1 fiction book, and 1 alien romance, for a total of 16 books if you include the one that I DNF'd, because I did read like half of it. We'll talk more about that. 3 of the books I read were arcs. I only read 2 new to me authors this month, Maisie Eddings and Callie Ann Bradley. I read 1 6-star book, 4 5-star books, 4 4.5-star books, 2 4-star books, 1 3.5-star book, 2 3-star books, 1 1-star book, and 1 DNF, as I mentioned already. Normally I would not start with a DNF, but I just want to thank you so much for your support both on Instagram and YouTube. I had gotten pretty deeply into the Maiden Lane series by Elizabeth Hoyt, and I was finding that as it went further in, I was becoming very uncomfortable. It was really dark, and I just got to a point in the 10th book, Duke of Sin, where I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to stop the audio because it was so disturbing to me. So I put it out there. Should I continue? Should I skip this book? I wanted to read the entire series, but based on your poll results as well as things that were said to me in messages on Instagram, and then also people that I spoke to at a Polycon, actually, including Carrie, who said, you know what, it just gets darker from here, so I think you're good just stopping. It gave me the courage to just stop the series and be okay with it, so I just want to thank you again for your words of wisdom. I always appreciate them so much. I enjoyed much of the Maiden Lane series, including several 6-star books that I'm so thankful that I read, but at this point I feel comfortable just stopping. So the good news is that means I'm going to be starting a new series soon. So let's talk about my 6-star read, Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. This is book 7, the final installment of the Bergman Brothers series. I enjoyed it immensely, obviously. And I want to tell you something in case you haven't heard. The updated versions, as you can see, I got one of the updated Only When It's Us. They have bonus epilogues in the back, and I've been really enjoying reading through those and just enjoying these couples all over again. This one was the one that was just released on April 2nd, and I was so excited to read it, and I vlogged about it all up in here, so if you want to see more. This book finds the only Bergman sibling who is yet to find love, Vigo, who ironically is the one who's most interested in love. He reads romance novels like they're going out of style and makes him uniquely qualified to help our girl Tallulah, his old college crush, who's back on the scene and in need of support as she figures out how to write romantic couples in her own books. It's difficult for her because she doesn't believe in love. But you know who does? Vigo. It was so fun seeing this couple in forced proximity working together. Not only is he helping her with her book, but she's helping him. I won't give it away, but it's a dream of his, and it's very cool that they got to work together. We get a Bergman Brothers summit one last time. The love scenes, as always, are just Just so wonderful, beautiful. In fact, let me put this down so you can see what I rated this. If you can't remember or would like to know how I rate spice, here is the link. Chloe Leese writes her characters with such care and such positivity. It's just a joy to read. Additionally, there are rumblings of a Bergman Brothers prequel that focuses on the parents, which, oh my gosh, sign me up right now if that happens. So you heard it here, maybe first, probably not first, right? My first 5-star that I'll talk to you about today is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. This is the second book in what I assume to be the cheat sheet duet, because all the other friends in the football team are married already, so except for our man Derek. I have to say, and I didn't mention this in my vlog earlier, but after having read the rule book, I actually really miss this couple. I don't often read a book and then just think about it over time and just wish that I could read a little bit more. I did love seeing the first couple from the cheat sheet featured here, as we have Derek. He and our girl Nora were pretty hot and heavy in college, but she dumps him without reason. It breaks his heart. The two of them try to move on, and many years later, we then find that he is a pro football star who needs an agent. And guess who his agent is? Nora. He is going to make her life miserable so that she will just go away already, leave him alone. But she is fierce, and she's not willing to just be his doormat. She wants to prove to him that she can be a great agent. There could still be some latent feelings hidden that may come out a little bit as they travel together to Cancun, which made for a great beachy read. I loved the slow burn. This was the spiciest Sarah Adams I've read so far, which she's more of like medium spice, one of the lesser known Spice Girls. But still, I was impressed, and it was beautifully written, and the characters are just so endearing. 5 stars. Another 5-star was First Comes Scandal, which is the 4th and final book of the Rokesby series. That's the Bridgerton prequel. Can we take a moment and just look at how beautiful this cover is? I adore the look on her face. Oh my gosh, it's so good. We've got the carriage in the background. Here's a beautiful rose. I just love this cover, and I just love this book, obviously, which is why I gave it 5 stars. And spoiler alert, if you watched my reviewing and ranking of the Rokesby series, this one does come out on top. We have poor Georgiana Bridgerton, who is kidnapped by a dummy. Freddie Oakes, who gets his later, and it's hilarious. This is probably the hardest I've ever laughed in a historical romance, perhaps. If I ever do a historical romance rec video for funny books, this is gonna make the cut. Let me know if you'd be interested in one of those. In any case, she either has to marry him now or she's just gonna face spinsterhood. So the Rokesbys feel really badly about this. As we may know, Rokesbys and the Bridgertons, they're best friends, these two families. So the Rokesbys try to grab Nicholas, who's busy finishing his doctoral program. He's going to become a doctor. And they grab him and say, hey, can you please marry Georgie? And he's like, but she's like my sister. But the two of them end up working together. It's so believable and real how they start to discover things about one another. Mainly, I think he's so appreciative of her strength and her wit, and the two of them working together. Oh, it was just so gorgeous to watch it unfold. These two are so sweet and innocent, and the way they embark on their love affair together was just, it was everything. I loved it so much. The love scenes, the humor, the affection, not only of just between Nicholas and Georgie, which was more than enough, but just everyone in the ensemble cast. Seeing the Bridgertons, seeing the Rokesbys. We also get to see Colin, Anthony, and Benedict as little babies, which was so fun, as well as Violet and Edmund. It was just fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. I know what you're gonna ask me, and you're gonna say, can you read this as a standalone? Yes, you can. But if you wanna read the whole series, I highly recommend it too. Okay, now we're going to talk about another 5-star read, which I found to be so yummy. It's Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I enjoyed this immensely. I loved the audio. I had a great time. We have little Annie, who everybody just thinks of her as like Angel Annie, and she's tired of being stereotyped because she's got so many more layers, but everyone just sees her as like the little kid sister. She wants to branch out of that. Then we have Will. He's the bodyguard of Amelia from When in Rome, which is so perfect, and he's more of our grumpy, sticks to himself, has a dramatic backstory type deal. And watching these two together was so much fun. Again, Sarah Adams does that slow burn. It's so delicious. I love it. At one point, he's running through town with his shirt off and starts this uproar because it's like the small town phone tree of drama of, oh my gosh, there's a handsome man who's all tattooed running around without his shirt on. Don't you love when you read a book further in a series and you get to see the couples from previous books just so in love? off. I just love that so much. And we get plenty of that in this book as well. I just can't say enough good things about it. If you want a small town romance that's slow burn, got a good sprinkling of spice, has a grumpy sunshine that I actually love. I don't always love grumpy sunshine, but this was perfect. I can't recommend this highly enough. So 5 stars. And now for my last 5-star book, which may surprise you. Yes, I'm showing you the first book of the Bergman Brothers series, but I'm referring to specifically the bonus epilogue or novella, which I'm going to try to get through without crying. Ryder and Willa get married and then have a beautiful, beautiful night together. We see them getting ready for the wedding, and then the after. It was just heaven. The beautiful love scenes, the incredibly emotional wedding. It's just everything you could possibly want. I loved seeing all of the characters again. I can't wait to read all of the bonus epilogues and all of the latest versions of this. It was spicy, it was beautiful, it was perfect, and it made me want to read all the other bonus epilogues as soon as humanly possible. Now let's start talking about some of my 4.5-star books. I don't have the physical books. Actually, I have some of the books in the series, but my historical romances are all jumbled up, mixed around, a big old mess, because I've been going through them looking for my perfect step backs for my 100 step back countdown in the summer of step backs, which is coming. May 25th, we're getting started. But yes, that means right now I'm having trouble finding any of the historical romances when I want to find them. So having said that, let's talk about my 4.5-star Dearest Rogue, which was part of the Maiden Lane series. This is book 8, by the way, and it was so good. It was another bodyguard romance. Who would have thought? I had no idea when I set out to read in April that I was going to wind up reading not only Practice Makes Perfect, but Dearest Rogue, both of which are bodyguard romances. And I learned I really like that trope. We have Phoebe, who is now officially blind. She's been going blind slowly throughout the series, and she needs a protector. So enter James. He's now her bodyguard, begrudgingly, or maybe not. He tries very hard to deny his feelings for her. And she realizes one day, when it seems like he might not be with her anymore, that she has feelings for him too. Well, as you can imagine, this story is full of danger, because what bodyguard romance would be complete without danger? Although there wasn't really any danger in this one. Come to think of it. But in a Maiden Lane book, you're gonna have danger, you're gonna have excitement. Phoebe gets kidnapped. There's a lot of kidnapping I read this month too, come to think of it. But anyway, James needing to rescue her needing to be rescued, but also being fierce in her own way. In fact, to take it a step further, she might even be the one who saves him. How about that? So good. And this is reminding me, I need to read this. I need to put this in my TBR for a particular month, because that's going to keep me honest and get me reading that. I know everybody loves this book, so gotta move this up on the old TBR. So let's talk about a book you've never heard of before, Eclipse. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. There's so many backstories from so many of the characters in Twilight, which makes it so riveting. We get to learn more about Jasper and Rosalie. I won't go on and on because this book is older, and everybody, for the most part, that has wanted to read it probably has at this point. The thing that kept it from being a full 5 stars was the annoying way that Alice and Edward treated Bella like a little kid and had her under house arrest there for a little while to keep her from Jacob. I'm team Jacob, so anybody who keeps Bella away from Jacob is not okay in my book. But anyway, I digress. So let's talk about my other 4.5 star funny story. This one I thought was still extremely good. The only reason I didn't give it a full 5 stars was we sort of fizzled out a certain plot line in terms of a trope. Emily Henry rides the line between women's fiction and romance in my mind, which is not a bad thing at all. I love that we see so much character growth for our female main character that may have nothing to do with her romance. Quite life-affirming, quite frankly, in many of the books that I've read. And poor Miles and Daphne. Her fiance just dumped her for his girlfriend. The most convenient solution is for the two of them to move in together. And guess what? We have a roommate situation. We have forced proximity. They decide to do fake dating to try to get their exes jealous. But again, Emily Henry is throwing so many things at us in terms of the importance of accepting love, the idea of hoping for the best despite maybe past experiences to the contrary. And of course, we get that slow burn that we love from her. And some spice. It's usually like a medium level, which I find to be perfect. I enjoyed every moment. Reading Emily Henry is like as easy as breathing. I really feel that. The moment the book begins, I just feel like I'm going to be beautifully taken care of and told this gorgeous story. She delivered yet again, and I'm already counting down to next year. Let's talk about my last 4.5 star book. This one just came out on May 7th, The Ministry of Time. And rather than me reinvent the wheel and explaining again how I felt, I'm going to show you a clip from my giveaway, which is still running until May 13th, by the way. I'm giving away several of these thanks to Simon & Schuster, so feel free to watch the video, enter the giveaway. You don't have to do anything other than tell me you'd be interested in the book. Here is an excerpt from the video that explains my thoughts on this book. I found this close to perfection. This is not a romance. There is romance in it. There is spice in it, but I would say this is primarily a fantasy-driven fiction novel. There are elements of time travel, hence the name, but otherwise you're getting a fairly real picture of what life would be like in present-day London. This story has two timelines. The first is told in third person as we are witnessing Graham Gore in the last days before he is plucked in his time period of 1847 into present day. He's in dire straits in a frozen wasteland, and it is pretty grim. The majority of this tale, though, is told in first person narration by our narrator, who I will then refer to either as narrator or Cat. We never do find out what her actual name is. She is referred to as Little Cat by Graham Gore, who is our hero. Graham Gore, by the way, actually is a real person in history. After reading this book, I can tell you, I did fall in love with him just like our narrator did, and he is still like under my skin. I'm still haunted by him. This story is about a woman who is still struggling to feel part of the culture of London based on her Cambodian roots. It makes her uniquely qualified to support time refugees, people who have been plucked from various parts of history and pulled into the present in order to help with a special mission. You realize pretty much from the get-go that there's far more going on that our narrator and we are privy to. The tension begins to ratchet up as the mystery begins to unravel. At the same time, we see Graham and our narrator begin to fall for one another. The author writes in a beautiful way. I would have highlighted a million lines, but I didn't want to write in this book, so I took pictures on my phone. Of various pages that I love. It's epiphany after epiphany, hauntingly beautiful and real. It has you ruminating on parts of life that perhaps you wouldn't want to, but ultimately sets you in a deeper thought pattern than you had going into the story. I loved reading this book, but I often felt like I was watching from afar, watching through glass or a window, seeing things unfold. The characters only let you get so close, but that's part of what makes it so intriguing. Parts of this story are gruesome, devastating, also beautiful and breathtaking, just like life. There's not too much more I can say because part of the fun of this is going in knowing very little. Additionally, I found this book to be a medium spice level, and unfortunately, there's no place to get it for free other than if you enter the giveaway. By the way, there are quite a few resources I tend to look towards in terms of providing these for you for free. Kindle Unlimited, YouTube, Spotify, believe it or not, which does have some books for free, AnyPlay, and Hoopla. Are there any other resources that you would like me to tap to see if I can find them for free for you? Do let me know in the comments. And you guys know how much I love S.E. Wendell, so I had to read Heartsong right after it came out at the end of March. I was so excited to read it, and I actually ordered this copy from S.E. Wendell herself. She wrote, B, thanks for everything. I just had so much fun having her on my channel. Oh my gosh, what a thrill. And I have to tell you, I'm always teasing her about how incredible her art is and how I'm going to design her next cover. She drew this for me. She goes, sneak peek of the next cover that she drew. How beautiful. Couldn't have drawn it better myself. But here's some incredible art. I mean, when you look at these covers, I mean, oh my gosh. And have you seen the cover for Ironling, which is coming out in August? It just can't come soon enough. I can't wait. It's gonna be epic. Anyway, but let's talk about Heartsong. I loved it. I wound up giving it 4 stars. The only thing that really kept it from being 5 stars for me was it was a little too spicy. There I go again with Juliet Cross or Minerva Spencer, where I read them and I love them, but then they're just a bit much. But will I still read them? You know it, especially for S.E. Wendell, who, I mean, I'm a mega fan. I just am. I'm just so excited. I already told her, I said, you gotta come to a Polycon next year. So fingers crossed that she'll get to come and that I will get to go if I can get tickets, and we'll see. But anyway, I digress again. I feel like this is so overly chatty, so I apologize. This is book 2 in the War of the Underhill. The first book in the War of the Underhill being Stone Hearts. We see a woman named Anna who struggles with migraines and just just general feelings of being good enough. She works in a museum with some interesting characters and a bunch of stone gargoyles, one of whom comes to life one night when some bad guys enter the museum for mysterious reasons. The two of them then become roommates as she tries to figure out what in the world is going on. He is mostly interested in her because she is his fated mate. She's the reason that he came out of his 1,000-plus-year-old stone sleep. Now, for her, a regular human living in present-day San Francisco, that's really weird. But for him, there's nothing odd about it. He tries to court her in the best way. He's actually a great cook. I just loved it. And they've got a cute little cat as well. This was exciting, mysterious, super spicy, as I mentioned. And even though I didn't always understand Anna and her thinking process, I still enjoyed this book immensely. Like I said, it's kind of a mystery, so I can't really say more than that, other than if you enjoy light monster romance, a big smattering of fantasy, but set in present day, you're gonna love this. And now let's talk about the Situationship, which is the bonus story at the back of the Target version of Just for the Summer. You may have seen me attempt to get this in my Target book hunt, which went a little bit amiss. And I talked a little bit about this in my Abby Jimenez deep dive video, which you guys have even given me more Easter eggs than I already uncovered, which is so cool. So if you end up watching that video, don't forget to look at the comments to see some additional Easter eggs. So much fun. But yes, let's talk about the bonus story, This Situationship, which features Maddie, Emma's best friend from Just for the Summer, and Doug, who is Daniel's best friend in Part of Your World. It's their meet cute, and it is incredibly cute, but also kind of crude, which is why I gave it 4 stars. You'll know what I mean if you read it. It was very funny and also features a grilled cheese sandwich, just like in Part of Your World, which I just loved. I love seeing these two quirky hardheads fall for one another in this small town. It was the perfect little nugget of a story, and I can't recommend this version highly enough, especially if you enjoy Doug and his terrible guitar playing ways. Funny, heartwarming, just perfect Abby Jimenez. My 3.5 star is Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. I actually had the pleasure of meeting her at a Polycon, which I talked at length about in my vlog. I guess it was a vlog. I don't know what it was. It was a long talk. I enjoyed this sapphic romance set in North Carolina on a flower farm between two women who are both neurodivergent, one with ADHD, maybe autism, she's not sure, and then the other one on the autism spectrum. I was talking to Maisie Eddings about this. I said I gained new insights into what a person who is neurodivergent deals with and ways that they cope that I didn't really think about before. So I loved that aspect. The reason I wasn't able to give this a full 5 stars, despite the fact that it has a beautiful setting, the spice was often emotional. We see great character growth over time, as well as when these two characters wind up working together on this farm for a common goal. The thing that I didn't love as much was the interactions between a lot of the supporting characters I found to be a little bit abrasive. I just had a hard time sinking into the story when a lot of the other characters were around. To give you a little bit more background, we have Opal, who's just won the lottery and has decided that she is going to buy a flower farm, which is unfortunately still owned and operated. Maybe not actually owned. She thought she owned it. Pepper, by the way, is her name. Pepper is not thrilled to see Opal arrive and say, "This is my farm." Pepper disagrees, but she needs to get the funds in order to prove Opal wrong. Again, sadly, I don't have a book to show you right now. The Lady Plays with Fire. It's the second book in the Miss Good's Guide to Misconduct series by Susanna Craig. I gave this 3 stars. There were portions of it that I really enjoyed. We have a woman who writes reviews of plays for the Miss Good's Guide to Misconduct, which is an underground newspaper for society misses, but that everyone seems to want to get their hands on because it's a bit subversive. Unfortunately, our woman has tangled with the wrong playwright when she has written a review that seems to pity him. He's not interested in pity. In fact, he goes on to write another play that's going to potentially ruin her and expose not only her, but the newspaper at large. So we have a case of dual hidden identities as our reviewer and playwright clash on the page, but have plenty of chemistry in person. I enjoyed much of this story. However, I was missing some of the ensemble cast that I would have loved to have seen, and some of the situations didn't feel super realistic to me. This felt like half historical romance and half cozy mystery, and while I enjoyed both both aspects of it, it seemed like these two genres sort of watered one another down. If you enjoy cozy mysteries, if you enjoy historical romance, I think you'll enjoy this story. It was an easy read and I had a good time. I was entertained. Let's talk about Ice Home Book 8 by Ruby Dixon, Callie's Catastrophe. This one was a little meh for me. It included a great deal of trickery and deceit on Matok's part. He is arrogant and brash and he wants Callie. The two of them resonate. She is sadly quite angry after being on the ice planet and she's really filled with despair as well. He winds up drugging her, kidnapping her, and then lying to her multiple times in order to finally win her heart. I was glad that she got the last laugh, and you get the sense that maybe because of the way she was, he was going to have to do those things in order to win her over, but still, I'm not a huge fan of the trickery. I respect that Ruby Dixon wants to make sure she's writing a variety of characters in a variety of situations, which is something you probably need to do if you're going to write this many books in a series. So there you go. And one more time, I have no books to show you because my historical romance collection is so discombobulated at the moment, but let's talk about my 1-star, Sweetest Scoundrel by Elizabeth Hoyt, the last book that I read the entirety of in the Maiden Lane series. I disliked it immensely. I didn't care for our hero at all. I don't want to complain too much because, one, this got 4 or 5-star reviews from just about everybody else I know and love. Just chalk this up to me not being a fan of dark historical romance, I think is what it is. Asa Makepeace is awful. He's trying to bring his theater back after a big fire, and our heroine winds up with the funds to help him, and somehow they fall in love. I don't know. You know, I just feel like I'm doing you a disservice because if you like dark historical romance, perhaps give this a whirl, because as I said, many people with great opinions really did enjoy this, so I'm just gonna stop talking. Well, those were the 15, 16 books, if you count the DNF, that I read in April. Let me know what you read in April. Were there any great reads or ones that you DNF'd? Let us know in the comments. Or if you just want to leave an emoji, leave me something that reflects your reading journey last month. I hope it was a good one. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're reading. And if you don't, I hope you DNF it. Until next time, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.